So I agree that AI is a very important component of what else we need. But the other thing we need to really provide a holistic solution is to deal with the content itself. What about the content? Well, there's really three kinds of content out there. There's proprietary content. This is the content that you create. There's open source content. This is all the content that's now available out there in places like YouTube. And there's professional content. And there's many content providers out there making professional content that helps you in certain subject areas. So how can we help in this area? Because I think to have a holistic solution for you, it's learning management and learning experience systems aren't enough. We also have to address the content component. So when you think about proprietary content, it's everything that you're creating. And obviously there are many different levels of this content. There's very simplistic content, essentially a PowerPoint presentation that you're updating. There's mid-level content, and then there's high-end simulations. And you're creating all different types of content. But sometimes you need more specific content than the budget allows for. So you're forced to create generic content that has broad applicability when really what you might need for your organization, as Josh says, when you're walking around trying to understand what people really need to do their jobs better, well, sometimes that content is too expensive to make. So we want to help you with that. And so we're releasing something we call Cornerstone Streams. It's based on a technology built by SameSurf that allows you to co-browse in your system without any downloads. Allows you through Connect to create an instant training course and invite whoever you want to the program. Allows for full interactivity and ultimately will allow for full screencasting that can be recorded right from your desktop and published to your catalog. Right through the system. We also want to deal with open source content. And there is a tremendous amount of open source content. It comes from many places. There are many different types of open source content. But the statistics are astounding. 400 hours of video content is added to YouTube every 3 minutes. 400 hours. It probably takes 3 minutes to upload it. So basically, it's continuously 400 hours of content being added. So you can imagine that's just YouTube. That's not the whole internet. So you can imagine that there's an enormous amount of content that's out there in the world. And so how do you access it? Because some of it's really good. Some of it is ideal content for leadership development. It might be ideal content for that very specialized training that you need. And a lot of it fits right into this world of micro-learning, where people want to learn something very specific in a very short amount of time. So how do you get to that content? How do you add it to your playlist? How do you make it part of the whole corpus of training that's out there in your organization? Well, one of the ways to do that is going to be the Cornerstone Catalog Connector. What we're effectively doing is leveraging XAPI or Tin Can, the newest standards in learning systems, to allow you to access content anywhere, to get credit for the article you read or the video you watch outside on the internet, to allow you to add that content to your playlist. Whether it's an article, a white paper, a presentation, something you've posted on Connect, it could be a video from YouTube or Vimeo, a presentation from ClearSlide or SlideShare, or it could be content that was created at a university that's part of a MOOC, or created from a content provider that we're not already integrated with. It's going to open up the entire world of learning to your employees, allowing you to access content from anywhere and add it to your playlist, making it part of that learning experience for the employee. We're also very aware of the fact that formal content is not going away. Formal, professionally built training content is still really important for every organization. Whether you're teaching the basics or getting deep in IT, you have to deal with compliance. You want to teach people basic business skills or help them with leadership development. Content is important. And so we've been working for a long time on aggregating content. But the problem is a lot of the older content that's out there doesn't work, right? Old content doesn't work on mobile. You also now have a very broad spectrum of the kind of content that's available. There's content that's short form that goes down to 90 seconds. That's micro-learning. And there's content that's long form that might take weeks or months to complete to get you to a mastery level of a particular area. And all of those different types of content have different completion rates, they have different volumes, and they have different requirements. So we got to be able to deal with any kind of content that's out there. And obviously you have this emergence of all of the open source content. So the professional content needs to be better than the open source content. So we've tried to help you with this over the years. We've partnered up with the top e-learning providers around the world. Many of them are here this week. And we've helped you figure out what content's appropriate for particular needs you have. We've helped you understand who to use for what. We've helped you aggregate and purchase the content. But in this modern world of learning experience and open source content, we think it's not enough. We're not doing enough. We're not dealing with how people are consuming content today. So even though there's tens of thousands of content offerings available, there's more we can do. So we understand what learners want, right? Learners want something that is easy to get. They want something that is easy to consume, and they want it easy to find, right? So how do we make it easy for you to get the content that you need? Well, today, along with the announcement of the Learning Experience Platform, we're announcing a new service we're going to offer, which is Cornerstone Content Anytime. It's a subscription-based offering where we're packaging up some of the best modern content out there and making it available to you on a subscription basis. So we're taking some of the best crowdsourced content out there from CyberU and some of the newest leadership development content from Power Forward and some of the best thought-provoking content from TED and the largest library of micro-learning from Grovo. And we're combining it together to give you something unique. The ability to access something that's subscription-based, with unlimited access, with an ever-expanding catalog that's continuously updated. And yes, it's very familiar. It's how we're buying video today. It's how we're buying audio today. This is how we're consuming media today. So we're taking the exact same approach, trying to bring you the best content out there, content that's completely modern, that is giving you what you need, video-based, works on any device, mobile or otherwise, and allows you to have unlimited access to both personal and professional development. And of course, as part of this, we have to make sure that the mobile experience is great. So everything I've shown you and that Summer went over is built to be responsive, works on every device. But even that's not enough, because that's table stakes. So in addition to everything being responsive, we're going to be rolling out fully native apps for iOS and Android, specifically focused on the training experience. Totally optimized for perfecting the learner experience from any device. But it's not limited to learning experience. Right? Many of you are in charge of compliance also. And we know, as the largest learning management company in the world, that learning experience matters, but so does compliance. And so we're continuing to invest to improve compliance with things like the Learning Administration Console that we put out earlier this past year, and the Learning Assignment Tool to enable massive batch registration and assignment of training to meet compliance requirements, and the Course Builder to help you version your content and easily create and load content into the system. And so to talk about the convergence of these two things, of learning experience and compliance, which is still very important to us and to many of you, I wanted to invite up one of our clients who's been at the forefront of meeting some of these compliance requirements, and that's Sarah from UBS.
Got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. It's under the lights.
So Sarah, everybody knows UBS is one of the preeminent financial service companies in the world, but we don't know much about your workforce. So can you tell you a little bit about the workforce at UBS?
So we are 60,000 people around the world in 50 different countries, actually. We're speaking a number of languages. Switzerland itself has 4 formal official languages. 4 generations, working in the same workplace, so pretty impressive, yeah.
And you've had to meet compliance requirements. You're under a lot of scrutiny by regulators to meet those requirements. So how have you used the learning system to do that?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. I mean, we are part of the financial industry that has had to evolve a lot during the last couple of years, right? And we need to ensure that actually all of us in the bank have a firm grasp about the regulation and the legislation, that govern our activities and processes. So we have a big, part of the system that is using actually mandatory training. It can be legal, it can be compliance, but it's also, business conduct or people management, right? So we needed a robust system able to get that and to manage that correctly. Cornerstone was able to do that, and we have actually, in terms of certification and affirmation, programs that are quite complex because they are using different parameters that are difficult to calculate, even with Excel, and we all know that Excel is really great, right? So we were really, it was one of the main requirements when we look at the system, and Cornerstone was able to do that. Now that we have been live, and it's only 2 months ago, we are working on using the capability of Cornerstone, the framework, to actually simplify all these rules that have been built over the last 20 years in the company.
Now, you're very much a global company. You have a lot of people around the world speaking multiple
Yeah.
languages. I imagine the implementation was fairly complex. Can you talk about the implementation and why you decided to roll out a new system?
Yeah, so effectively, I mean, our employee survey in 2016 was actually pretty positive, but it showed that we could do definitively better in terms of learning and development, right? And it seemed to us that we were doing a lot. Actually, you mentioned it, right? Learning has been, or Josh has been mentioning it, learning community has been doing a lot in most of the companies. But we felt also that we needed another system to help, progress in our ambition. The current system that we had were actually out of end of life. And then comes always the question, do you want to upgrade it, or do you want to move ahead from the previous system? So we look at the market, we screen the market. You were the leader, but more importantly, I think we selected Cornerstone for 2 main things. One was really SaaS, that correspond now to our full technological strategy at UBS. The second was that robust platform, I talk about that, but certainly also the possibility to offer innovative feature. Mobile was clearly key for us. On the job, virtual classroom, we were looking also at something about user-generated content and so on. And we felt that we wanted a system that evolved with us, right? So we are kind of passionate about that. I didn't necessarily mention it before, but for us, the way we want to deliver value to our customers, it's superior value, right? We are in financial services and advice. We need to have a workforce that is actually providing superior services. And to do that, we felt that the best is certainly to have a purposely intelligent workforce, able to innovate, change, and more importantly, access to knowledge and information accurately and purposely. Right? And to do that, I think that's why talent and development is key, and having the right tool for them is also key.
So we just talked about learning experience and the learning experience platform. You are in a highly regulated industry. It's a bank that's very focused on compliance. But can you see uses for that at UBS?
Usage of?
The whole new personalization and consumerization that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. So we launched actually 2 months ago, right? And I would say compared to other deployment of information system, it went really well. So a big thank you to the team. And the fun part is starting now, actually. Everybody who was coming before to me saying, when do we go live? When do we go live? Are you sure it's fine? It will be fine? Now are coming up. Wow, how interesting it is. And we're already looking at the roadmap for the future. I have also the business, not just traditional HR, but the business coming to me and say, actually you have a nice warehouse. How can we put the product into this new platform, right? So the business is coming to use that to put their own content, and that was handled differently, almost in parallel to the HR offering in learning, right? So very interesting to see that. Actually, I took some screenshots because I really believe that when I come back, I can show that, and I'm pretty sure that it will be quite inspiring for most of us.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you very much.